Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. This week's topic is why habits can be so overwhelming and hard to stick to. Over the years of coaching hundreds of people, this is probably one of the easiest to overlook parts of a health and fitness journey, but also one of the most critical to the long term success towards your goals. A lot of people think, oh, I can just wake up tomorrow. I'm going to start doing these different things, whether that be meal prepping, whether that be going to the gym, whether that be getting daily steps, whatever it may be. I'm going to start doing these things and they're just going to happen because I want them to. And while sometimes that does work, depending on how big of a change it is from what you're currently doing, more often than not, what happens is you do it for a week and then it slowly starts to fade away, or you only start kind of half-assing it. And that's when it falls apart and you get frustrated because you feel like you're trying really hard, which you are, but you're also not being consistent with the change, so you're not seeing the results that you want. A perfect example of this that I'm sure most of you have experienced is setting New Year's resolutions. How many times have you gone into the new year with really great intention, and for a couple weeks into January, you do wonderful. You're kicking butt, you're seeing results, and then slowly it just starts fading away. And before you know it, in February and in March, you're just back to doing what you were before. And it's, oh, well, I'll just reset again next year. This is a common thing. And in fact, more common than people being successful with New Year's resolutions. But a big part of this is because they don't really think through the habit changes that they're trying to implement. So how do we go about creating really good habits and then sticking to them? Well, there's a couple things that I want you to think about. First of all, the habit itself is important, but that's the easy part, right? Most people know the habits they need to have to make changes with their health, their fitness, in their life, whatever it may be, whatever that goal may be. So that's the easy part. The part that people miss is they generally just leave it at that and they never think about the plan of how they're actually going to implement the sacrifices that may require and what they can do to make that easier. So today I want to talk to you about those different things to make sure that when you set a habit, you can stick to it and see the benefits from it. So let's start by talking about how do we actually implement a habit and how do we create a plan to do so successfully. It's really nice to have an idea of, starting on Monday, I'm just going to stop eating out. Well, that's great, but what does that actually look like in life? And I think this actually ties really well with the conversation of sacrifices you have to make. Thinking those things through is going to really prepare you for when roadblocks inevitably come up. So if my goal is I'm going to stop eating out, well, what happens the first time a friend calls you to go out to eat, right? You want to have that process thought through, because if it arises, the chances that you are able to navigate it without any thought correctly are pretty low. And it's not anything against you. It's just that for the entirety of your life up until this point, you've navigated that situation by saying yes and going. So it's a little bit unreasonable to ask yourself to do something different without having a plan to fall back on. Another way to think about this is if we were to be filming a movie and you were an actor or actress in this movie, and I just started rolling with the camera and never gave you a script. Now, you might be able to get through the scene or the movie, but it would be a lot smoother, a lot easier, and a lot better if you had the script to start with. So, in essence, creating a plan and acknowledging the sacrifices you might have to make with a new habit prior to something coming up is like writing your script. It is the plan that you can fall back on when the challenges arise so that you can be successful long term. The other part about this is, how do I make implementing new habits very easy? And the answer is kind of in the question itself, but a lot of people don't think this through. Another really common habit that I hear people talk about with nutrition is, I'm going to stop eating snack foods. Well, there's some challenges that arise with that habit. For instance, if you have your favorite cookies in the pantry and every time you open the door, it's the first thing you see, you are just tempting yourself to go back on your habit. And another piece of that is if cookies are the only convenient food you have in the house, what are you going to do when you get home after a long day of work, dropping the kids off at sports, then you have to come home, you have 15 quick minutes to get something in to eat, you're starving because you haven't had time to eat anything all day, but there's nothing else in the house. Well, I'm going to go grab my favorite cookies because at least it's something to carry me through. So I always like to ask when we're trying to make a new habit, how do I make this habit or the new best option, the easiest option, or the only option? So again, the example of trying to reduce snacking or cut out my favorite cookies, number one, don't have it in the house. By not having it in the house, there's automatically a barrier to entry that you have to go buy the thing before you can eat it. That's a very large barrier that usually creates enough space for most people to not do so. But second, how can I have a healthy option or a more nutrient-dense option for a snack or food readily available no matter what? Can I have something in my fridge? Can I have something in my freezer that takes me no more than 60 seconds to prepare so that when I am hungry and I am rushed, I can just grab that rather than, again, going to a convenient option that might not work towards your goals or be aligned with the new habit. So when I get into creating a new habit, the things I'm thinking through are, how am I going to handle challenging situations with this habit? What sacrifices might I have to make, or what challenges are there going to be? How do I make this the easiest habit or the easiest option rather than something I have to force myself to do? And then a last little bonus tip, and this comes from the book Atomic Habits, is habit stacking, which means, can I tie this new habit to an already existing behavior? For example, if I want to get my steps up, can I just start going for a walk after each meal? I already have the habit of eating meals, so now I'm just building onto that habit that's already part of my day rather than trying to start something completely new. This can be a super powerful way to kind of kickstart that journey of implementing a new habit. So I think it's really important, and the thing I want you to take away from this is that when I'm looking to create a new habit, I need to give it some thorough thought. It's not just what habit moves me forward, it's what habit moves me forward, how do I implement it, what are the challenges or sacrifices I'm going to need to make or navigate, how do I make it the easiest option, and then is there another habit that I can tie this to? And this is the framework I want you to think through with every single habit you implement. I would start small, one thing at a time. Don't try to do total life shift because you're going to be totally overwhelmed. So start with one thing, get really good at it, make it feel like second nature, then add something else. So I would love to hear which habits you guys are working on. You can drop that in the comments below or shoot me a message. I hope you have a wonderful week. And as always, if you need anything, please reach out.